Journalism as we know it is on the cusp of an extraordinary change. The prevalence of mobile devices combined with the power of social media has created a force that the most brilliant minds in journalism are only beginning to understand. But we don't have to look far to see these forces impacting our own news. We can start as local as News 10. In early February, they started a show based on a simple principle. People will talk naturally about the news they're interested in hearing online. Dan Elliott, an anchor of News 10 at 9, had this to say about the role of sites like Twitter in shaping their show.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, when we plan the show every morning, one of the first things we look at is what's trending on Twitter, and then also what are people commenting on our Facebook page. Which story is generating the most comments? Social interaction is huge. In fact, that's what we want the show to be all about.
He explains that, increasingly, people check Facebook and Twitter long before they open a newspaper or flip on Channel 10. But adapting to the way that viewers now consume the news is only part of the story.
In order to even survive in this ever-changing world of television, social media plays an integral role.
That's Jeff Maher, who checks what's trending online to generate discussion during the show. But he also explains internet technology creates a gateway for eyewitness content.
It was only for journalists to report on stories. Now you can just take out your iPhone and if you happen to see something that you want to report, you take it out, you shoot video, even give some commentary, and you send it in.
In essence, most people can create their own basic stories. And in fact, some news organizations like National Public Radio have actually invested in mobile technology that they use in their own broadcasts. Joe Barr is the news director of Capital Public Radio at Sacramento State.
With the iPhone, we can have a reporter out in the field almost anywhere, and there's an app that anybody can download, and it gives us a broadcast quality sound from somebody who might be out in a field somewhere, as long as there's a 3G connection.
Believe it or not, you might have already heard this software in action without even knowing it. When President Obama announced Osama bin Laden's death early last May, NPR's Jeff Roberts coordinated an entire live segment on his iPhone. He discovered on Twitter that revelers were planning to gather at Ground Zero and produce his entire report with no engineer and no professional equipment. But that's not all mobile technology has to offer NPR.
At some point in the not too distant future, a reporter will be able to edit a story, a radio story in the field, on an iPad.
But some are a bit more skeptical. We had a chance to talk to Elaine Corne, a freelance journalist who reports stories on food for Capital Public Radio. Watch carefully, and you'll quickly see that there's a lot more to her job than meets the eye.
At least in public radio, we are heavily vetted. We don't just come back, bang out a story, put some junk on the air, and it goes out.
She played a short story she produced on cooking duck. While we watch the cursor pan over the audio track, she gestures the rise and fall of the different sounds with her hand. She says that reports that rely only on audio are mind trips and require ultra-precise editing and very high-quality sound.
I wouldn't dream of bringing back inferior audio. It's just not going to go on the air, so why would I waste my time?
But while the technology may have a little ways to go, citizens have taken full advantage of these developing journalistic tools. Occupy protesters streamed their demonstrations live over the internet and recorded confrontations with police on their phones. Even when I interviewed protesters at Occupy Sacramento back in October, they streamed our encounter live to the internet in an effort to document all contact with journalists. And the protests that inspired them, uprisings in Egypt, Libya, and Syria, all use social media to give the entire world a chance to watch.
In countries where media are run by the state, regular people are able to get videos out of events that are happening, and that's caused governments to be overthrown.
As Jeff Maher explains, these contributions provide a unique perspective.
Reporters play a pivotal role where journalists can't really get into.
Which begs a final question. Are these novel tools the future of journalism? In our social world, a global answer may be reflected where we began, with a new show on News 10.
In a perfect world someday, that would be entirely the show. Just social interaction with people, whether it be Skype or comments on Facebook or tweets or what have you.
So watch the world closely, and remember that content is now more available and creatable than it ever has been before in history. This has been Alex Daly reporting for KBFT, Sacramento.